The question of the day is, how do you prepare to play a Hideo Kojima game where he is purposely trying to give you an experience like you've never had before? Today, I'm going to dive into Death Stranding 2, a lot of new key information from Tokyo Game Show, bunch of very good reveals, and some breakdowns that I'm going to be sharing. And I would like to introduce all the new players as we dive deep into this. I'm going to be diving into this game heavily. If you don't know who I am, I have studied Hideo Kojima's games and interviews for the past 25 years, pretty much regularly on a daily basis. I check some stuff out and understand the way he works and what he's trying to do. And today I'm going to help you as well, hopefully, get a little deeper into Death Stranding. A little warning, you are watching some Death Stranding 1 highlights, and yes, I'm going to be spoiling some of that game as well, on top of some visuals a little bit in the beginning, but we're going to watch part 2's trailers and dissect them as we go forward. Before I do that, I just want to kind of give you guys a brief summary of what Death Stranding is. It's funny enough, Death Stranding, the actual word, is what happened to Earth. It's a very apocalyptic event that basically destroyed the Earth, disconnected everybody from the Earth, and pretty much left everybody stranded. So that's why they call it the Death Stranding. And that's what the event is called, and that's what the game is called. And you, the player, Sam, have to reconnect everybody in the United States, which they call United Cities, because it's so divided that they call it cities. So that's pretty much the breakdown, and you're going to see the most weirdest, craziest visuals. If you've never played this game because you wondered how weird this is, it's actually a part of why the game is great. You're not going to play anything like it. There's never been a game like it, and there probably won't be a game like it fully for a very long time, especially with part 2. Kojima has confidently said that part 2 is going to be even more outrageous, and they want to continue to expand it in different ways and make it very unique for the series. Okay, with all that out of the way and all these visuals that you're seeing, and if you're not interested in Death Stranding Part 1, then don't watch this video. But if you are, go play Part 1, put this on after you play it or in between you play. There might be some spoilers here, but you can watch this thoroughly and just enjoy. For those that are big time fans, well, you're in luck. I'm about to dive into the new trailers. We're going to dissect it and get into what you should be expecting. And so, first things first, this is the first reveal trailer, and I want to talk about a couple things that are very important. Lou is the main character in this game, in my opinion, and she's basically a very confusing character now, more than ever. And I thought I understood everything until they showcased how she's being portrayed. She passed away. Is she still alive? Can she be reborn? Is she other characters? There's a couple of characters that I assume she could be. And since this game is so outrageous, I have even more crazier theories that I'm going to get into. But the point is you're watching Fragile, one of my favorite character in this game series. She's so phenomenal. And I do think, and I've made a video about this, that we're going to play as her in the introduction of this game. I do believe that she's going to be the one taking care of Lou, and she's trying to escape this attack that's happening on her, and she's going to be finding Sam. And then we'll play as Sam for the remainder of the game. But at the introduction tutorial guides, you're going to have to attach to Lou and try to escape all of this drama and get yourself to safety. And if Kojima does this, first of all, she's my favorite, and I absolutely love her. And we can do a whole video about this. And I already broke down a video about her. So, I mean, you can go watch that. That's on my Let's Play channel. But the point is, she's outrageously awesome as a character. And this situation right here, you can see she's actually getting chased and goes through some serious dark situations. And now I want to take a moment to talk about this specific scene right here where she looks like she is not on the regular so-called reality Earth, and she's in this new realm. For those that don't know, and if you're a newcomer just watching this, this realm is basically your soul's heaven or your soul's complicated let's say subconscious, so you're able to have a different version. Maybe yours is literally on a beach, like this game has implementations that some people are on the beach. Then there's other people who are at war. If we've seen in the previous game, one of the main characters, he was a warrior, so everything that he experienced was at war. For her, to me, this is what's going on with her. She's trying to protect the baby and she's trying to survive this scenario, and she's in this hellhole within her soul trying to save the baby in this scenario. And we'll see her hopefully survive this game, of course, because she's one of the main characters. And then they kind of really confuse you because all of a sudden Lou reforms, and can she just resurrect? And those are the questions I got just from this quick trailer, and that's the introduction trailer. And it's literally just introduction to part 2. It kind of throw you off a little bit, and Kojima's a genius, of course. He does this type of thing all the time. And then now, of course, spoiler alert, Fragile does find our man Sam. He gets older, and this is a whole deep conversation of how did he get older. But the point is, she finds him, and they're introducing him to all of the things that they have now, this technology that is able to teleport through different areas. So now you're probably going to be able to fast travel to different locations, and you're going to be able to load into anywhere. And speaking of anywhere, this game is going to be not in the US for the most part, I assume. And if it is, it's only going to have pieces of the US in it. And so she's explaining a little bit about what they're doing and their device and how they're able to go anywhere through the tar, which is the most dangerous thing when it comes to the enemies. That's kind of where they are, but it's their way that they're able to travel faster and deal with this Death Stranding event that's causing everybody to be disconnected. Sam is our hero, so if you play as him, you're probably going to try and save him and save the world and continue to connect other locations. They mentioned Mexico, which I'm gonna get into in a minute, but man, pretty interesting. We're gonna pause on this conversation and get into the one and the only, our main man, aka Higgs. He's incredible, and we get a tease of him. We're gonna see more of him a little later, but this first trailer basically is the educational introduction of this game and slowly taking you to that next level. And what I wanted to talk about as we go forward is this situation here. You got George Miller, aka Tar Man. His hand is made out of tar. And then you have Quiet, who has a really cool device that I think we'll end up getting as players as well, where she can hide her mouth if there's any of this lurking enemies and things like that that can find you from breathing. Very interesting. They're opening up what is a casket, and of course the tar is controlling it. And I want to try to talk about who's in there, and there's a couple of caskets, I believe. You're gonna have Emily in one, and I believe we're gonna have this second character who we've already seen in the trailer. I don't want to kind of spoil everything heavily because I feel like I know what's going on here, but they're basically discovering that this tar, does it resurrect people? Does it bring people back to life? What is it doing? And so those are the questions I have, and I got a whole video I could make about this. But basically, who is Lou? Is she an adult, and then is this her? And also, if it isn't her, who's this person who's getting this resurrection and coming back to life? We already get to see the character in a second, and you're gonna see how this affects us in the long run. And check this out right here, Timefall hitting the one and the only Fragile. And so super interesting. We're gonna see that casket multiple times in the game. I think it's gonna be more than one or two, but that's just my opinion on the matter. And there's a lot to discuss when it comes to this overall experience and what to expect. First things first, this ship is huge, and Fragile explains to Sam that she's basically has a private donor investor who's helping her connect the world. They want to do that, and Sam, as usual, is the king. And if you take a look at this segment, we're going to pause this I don't want to talk about gameplay in this video too much, but this specific scene, you're seeing a LMG, okay? And there's better guns, more dangerous, powerful. So we're gonna see something crazy in the long run with this game, and I think that's gonna be amazing when the time comes. And they pretty much given us some of the old stuff where you have your room, and there's a lot of cool stuff in the room actually that I'll talk about in another video, but all that stuff is back to where it was before, and this is a good thing for us, guys. Trust me, a lot of good features, and they're gonna add to it, so it's definitely awesome. Now I wanted to touch on the traversal. All right, we're gonna see some trailers. I'm gonna showcase the new trailers and break all that down, but there's so many locations, and they talk about Mexico, and they talk about outside of the US, and they talk about so many details, and it's very important to know that yes, you're going to be traversing in new terrains, and we're going to see that as well. We're going to get into it, and we also have ourselves a companion. All right, this is kind of one of those games where it's a single player, and having a companion is always good. They give us Dollman, who's a very mysterious character. This is funny. He's like, not in the butt, bro. It's like, you're gonna fart on me. And he puts him in the front side, which is hilarious. A little shot at God of War, hilarious. Shout out to the Santa Monica studios. But this right here, to me, you know, all the terrains that they showcase and the things that they display here are very critical, because you've seen the ship be able to travel anywhere through the tar. You're able to go to another side of the world. Just think about it as a teleporting device. So now you're getting areas like this. This is one of the first areas, most likely, where Sam's going to go on a journey. And check it out. It's a big area. On the left is a city. And then you have all of this terrain. And the reason why this is important, what you gotta understand is this traveling is a big part of the game. It's the biggest enemy in the game. For those that never played this game and you're watching this trailer, you're basically having to deal with the environment, and more than ever, because now the environment has a lot of hazardous aspects, very troubled area where there's environment hazards, and you're going to see that in a minute. But the point here is you have all this terrain, you got to figure out how to get through. One of the key things I tell people when they play this game is you can go straight to your objectives and have to climb up a mountain, or you can go around the mountain but might have to deal with enemies, a base camp, some monsters. So your decisions are going to play a big role on how you experience the game and the type of difficulty you have. So you can travel easy or more difficult. As you can see, you have the desert, you have the beautiful city, big city it looks like, and there's a lot of key things to kind of take into account and figure out. And I talked about environments, and this right here is one of them, right? If you guys didn't know, and I'm going to pause this full gameplay, and we're going to make sure you guys understand how much I love this game. So right now, this is me playing Death Stranding officially, and I want to kind of showcase the area. Okay, these bridges are made by players, and this is me in the actual part 1 right now. No spoilers, of course. And all of these areas, all of these bridges, and all the different things that are here, there's roads, there's a lot of stuff that you can do or use within the area. And I can even use this right here to fast travel to certain areas. I can use a launcher to send my packages. I can jump onto roads and go different places, but all of these things are made by players. And I do believe that this new game is going to have even more things in it. All right. I mean, like a lot of things in it. And so we get to see, and I'm coming back to this trailer, we get to see the environment destroying that. So we're going to need each other more than ever. And this is one of the connecting things about this game. Even though it's a single player, a player can see that I made a bridge that is weak and I haven't finalized it, or a road, as you can see this road right here. And we can help build each other's structures and then fortify it by upgrading it to its maximum potential. You can already do this in part 1, but I think it's going to be very critical this time around. You're looking at this hazard of the flood just destroying our bridge, destroying all of these things that we made. So imagine the amount of things you're going to need to do as a player in that scenario. That's very critical. All right? So pay attention to that and think about it. And then you're watching the mountains collapse. Imagine if that's you going up that hill. It's possible. And then, of course, we're seeing one of the main horror sides, which was the enemies. I want to talk a second to talk about this top tier stuff. The moon, absolutely crazy that it's this close. And I'm curious, where are we? I always talked about the moon, and we've got to do a separate video about this, but it's a very important part of the story in the game from part one, that hints at it. And it has to do with Kojima's themes, concepts, and messages. Again, that's a separate video, but just something to hint at and to think about as you go. And we're seeing here another look at new enemies, and that's very cool to finally get introduced to some more crazy cool elements. And again, this is the way you teleport, guys. You go into one area and you go out another. Look, another, you know, dusty type of desert. It's a different version. And again, now you're looking at new vehicles that you can ride. This is something different. All the vehicles got upgrades. So you want to pay attention and understand that the whole game has become bigger and better. And one thing that they talk about in the trailers is the fact that you're not using a string anymore and you're using sticks. And this is a big theme and concept, which I'm not going to go too deep into. But basically, the part one was more about connecting. And then now this game is about fighting people off because it has to do with sticks. So the original game was about strings. This one, Sam is using sticks. And what I wanted to talk about in that scenario right there, this very tiny little clip, that some of these enemies used to just be small monsters. Now it looks like they're bots or they have weapons as well. You can see this is not just an average enemy. And he takes him out a little too fast there. But that's going to be a real battle. If they all come out to get you, you're going to have to fight them, like really fight them. And so I believe there's going to be more factions who are coming after you, different type of monsters with weapons as well. And they're not going to just grab onto you and bring you down to the lava. So it's going to be a more dynamic experience. And even speaking of that, we would have to do another deep dive into this gentleman here. Higgs is one of the most critical characters in the series. He's the biggest villain and the baddest. Like, he's awesome. And so he basically tells you don't know anything and you're like out of the loop, and how can you be so confused about what's really going on. And one of the cool parts in this trailer is where he says, oh, you traded the strings for sticks, huh? Basically saying you coming out for war now. Okay, that's fine. And so very interesting. Kojima basically letting us know, like, that's where you're gonna have some more fun action wise and so on. Then he tells him about this mysterious character that we trying to learn more about who this character really is. And you can see the doll is hilarious, but that's another conversation to get into about some of the speculations. And one of the key things that I wanted to talk about here was him explaining, oh, you're the one that killed Lou. That's what Sam asked. And he's like, wait a minute, you don't know? And so there's a long conversation that I'm going to do a separate video for about who Lou really is, what Lou really is, and what is really going on in this game and this story. And it's very interesting because this character right here comes to save Sam. And to be honest with you, I feel like this might be Lou herself. And she's using this bot because the sound that this machine makes is baby sounds. And so I don't know if Kojima's throwing us off, but I do believe that there is that going on. So Lou's basically protecting Sam in her own way. And of course, we see some badass aspects. And I just kind of want to try to hint that maybe we're going to get a sword, because the way he's fighting with the enemy here, I do believe you're going to need a sword to fight him at the end. So maybe that'll be something we'll get later on. That could be very cool in my opinion. And so super interesting, super fun, and very exciting. And again, the game throws you off. Kojima will purposely put stuff out there just to fool with you and to kind of tease at things. And so what is really going on? Is he really connecting with Lou or not? What is going on, guys? And so those are some of the questions we got from the previous trailers. We're going to dive into the new one and get into what is going on with that trailer. All right? So in this trailer, they basically have confirmed that Sam is basically going to be on this ship, building relationships and friendships with a lot of these characters that are very critical for the series, in my opinion, and they're going to help take it to the next level. And what I mean by that is, story wise, you know, Sam was alone a lot. He was connecting America and all of that. But in part one, there was some really heavy duty aspects that is just alone. And now more than ever, he's got a companion when he's out on gameplay. Now he has friends he's built, people he's loved and appreciates and respects. And then, of course, all of these newcomers that you might not know, like Tarman, who's awesome, or these other characters that we're going to see a little later. But it's very interesting. And again, Tarman's motives and what he can or can't be is going to be interesting, because you see how deeply connected is he. He's not a human fully, right? And you can see from his hand, he has half a tar hand. And then this cat is kind of his number one companion, doesn't leave his side for the most part. And so that's an interesting presentation. And they kind of talk about what is going on out there and how they're trying to connect this new locations. And I do believe, like I said, we're not going to get just one quick area. The variety is going to be heavy, but I'm just curious on where it goes. They explained that he was in Mexico, and I do believe it could be South America. But I also just want to say the locations in America looked like Alaska, and it looked like so many different places. It didn't look like it was just one location. It could have been anywhere. So I don't know the final locations of each of these, and I haven't really seen any confirmations. It's all speculations. And so we want to talk about Lou and this whole thing where, again, he's losing his mind about Lou. And where's Lou? Is she dead or what happened? And it's sad, but it's very interesting. And I think that this gentleman here knows more than he's saying, and he's playing the cards close to him. And it's not like he's doing it on purpose. I believe he's just a puppet on a string. Like literally somebody else is manipulating him. But in the end, he's going to work with us and say, hey, Sam, I'm with you, man. And basically betray the people who basically forcing him into whatever nonsense he has. And I think this is an interesting plot because he is our companion, but we know nothing about him other than he got stuck in a puppet, right? So super interesting. And yeah, love it. And then this is the part where I said is confirming the wholesome experience that we're going to be getting. Sam was a very pessimistic, lonely guy, very dark, and just not a very positive hero, right? He didn't have hopefulness. He was just like, oh, this is all going to hell. And he was very dark, and it's realistic, right? Things happen. People get a little twisted. But yeah, now we're going to talk about the one and the only, and I do think she's probably one of the most pivotal characters in this game, and I want to kind of take a moment to look at her for a second and discuss her importance. She shows up multiple times in different videos, and they opened up that casket and it looked like her, which it is her in my opinion, but also one of the caskets for someone else. But this casket opened up her. Is she Lou? Is she something else? What is she is the question. And those are the type of questions we have and we're concerned about. Nobody knows the answer to, right? You want to try to speculate and share comments about what you think is going on. I don't want to dive too deep into it because this video is really just an overview for people that are new or just want to dive into this conversation and have fun with it. Very exciting stuff, as you can tell. I love this series. But check it out. The crazy part is our character here, who's pregnant to who's the big daddy, by the way, and nobody has babies like this anymore, right? What is going on this earth? How is she pregnant? Where's the father? We haven't seen that at all. So then now she might be a very important character to the plot, because this new baby might be super essential to saving the world, a new start, a new, anything could happen. It could be a monster. It can be the worst of the worst. And this is where I want to kind of try to take you guys through the weird things that are happening in this game, where this might be Lou older, but he still has um looking for the current Lou because time didn't pass that long. She can't be that old. And what is going on with the time, you know, speeding up. And this might be a part of what Kojima offers and brings to the table. And it's a crazy concept of time travel, but you know, parallel universes colliding and different things that can be very interesting. And what if she doesn't know she's Lou and Sam doesn't know she's Lou? And it's just interesting. Then of course we get introduced to the top tier homie, Hartman. And it's too deep to get into Hartman, but he's basically killing himself trying to find his family and bringing them back. And it's a very powerful story in his own right, but you get to introduce him. And the main thing that I want to talk about is now, like, he has better technology, he's better equipped, which means you're going to get better equipment from him as well. He's very smart, he's very capable, and now you guys are best friends to a certain extent. And so he's gonna definitely look out for you. In the previous game, you had to earn his trust, right? And now you're basically buddy buddy. And so I do expect there to be a lot of key things that are happening with him as the main character. This is Kojima's best friend in real life, and putting him into the game might just be, you know, that key pillar story wise that could be interesting. And we'll see as we go. But I just kind of wanted to dive into some of this thoughts and feelings and like express myself to a certain extent about this game and the overall experience that I do think is special. Now, if you've been watching and you're enjoying, thank you so much. Telling everybody, play part 1. All right, if you play 8 hours and then after 8 hours you're not invested, that's fine, but you have to know that the game is a slow burn. There's a lot of crazy, interesting, and fun stuff to do and to go through. And it's one of those games where you just throw on and you get lost in. And so I recommend doing that to enjoy your time. Part 2 is going to be very special and it's going to be very different. And the main thing that I want to say about that is, for example, I have a video explaining that part 2 will have more action. They're going to have places you can invade as far as like camps heavier, just like they did for the DLC, the director's cut. They gave you some, you know, specific factory mission that you're going to go in there and invade. And so I do think that they learned their lesson about people joking around that it's just a UPS game, which is not. But I think Kojima knows that he's going to turn it up for some more excitement. But the game overall is a masterpiece, in my opinion. And part 2 will end up being even better than that because he's taking a lot of the lessons learned. Story-wise, it's going to be insane. If you're watching part 1's cutscenes here, these are just snippets of crazy things that happen or interesting characters and developments that can really take you to that next level. And so, yeah, it's going to be a fun ride. We're going to have more breakdowns in the near future. I just wanted to give you guys my current introduction overview of Death Stranding 2, the possibilities, and then we can dive into the, you know, leave some comments on what you want to talk about. I will definitely cover it because I cover this game extensively on my Let's Play channel. And I talk about it all the time on my stream. And, you know, we ran through this game 3 times. So I got you guys. Just make sure you share all the things that you're thinking or feeling in the comments, and then we'll get into it as we go. Hope y'all enjoyed this. By the way, I do have 2 other channels, a Metal Gear channel that covers strictly Metal Gear and an NBA one, and then this one as my main focus. If you want to show support, enjoy the content, and let's vibe together in the comments. All right, y'all stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.